Life 30, your 30-day journey to creating the best life possible for yourself. You can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the whole series and get the free bonus companion worksheets that go with this video, check the link in the description below. All right, today is day 11, and we're going to learn how you can overcome your fear.
You are unusually fearless and willing to go in the face of other people telling you something is crazy. And I know a lot of pretty crazy people, you still stand out. Where does that come from, or how do you think about making a decision when everyone tells you this is a crazy idea? Or where do you get the internal strength to do that?
Well, first of all, I'd say I actually think I feel fear quite strongly. So it's not as though I just have the absence of fear. I feel it quite strongly. But there are just times when something is important enough, you believe in it enough, that you do it in spite of the fear.
So speaking of important things,
like people shouldn't think people shouldn't think, well, I feel fear about this and therefore I shouldn't do it. It's normal to feel fear. Like you'd have to be something mentally wrong if you didn't feel fear.
So you just feel it and let the importance of it drive you to do it anyway.
Yeah, actually something that can be helpful is fatalism. To some degree. If you just accept the probabilities, then that diminishes fear. When starting SpaceX, I thought the odds of success were less than 10%. And I just accepted that actually probably I would just lose everything. But that maybe would make some progress. If we could just move the ball forward, even if we died, maybe some other company could pick up the baton and keep moving it forward, so that would still do some good. Yeah, same with Tesla. I thought the odds of a car company succeeding were extremely low.
Skydiving is a really interesting confront with fear. I gotta stand up. I'm sorry, I gotta stand up. You go out the night before and you take a drink with your friends and somebody says, yeah, we should go skydiving tomorrow. And you go, yeah, we'll go skydiving tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. And you go, yeah. And everybody goes, yeah. And you go home by yourself. You're like, Right? You're like, well, I mean, they was drunk too. So then that night you're laying in your bed and you just keep, and you're terrified. You keep imagining over and over again jumping out of an airplane, and you can't figure out why you would do that. So you get there, and then you have this safety brief, and you're standing there, and the guys will tell you, well, if the chute doesn't open, what's going to happen is well, why the hell, what could happen? So you get onto the airplane, and you're sitting there, and it's extra because you're sitting on some dude's lap, some stranger, trying to make small talk. Yeah, man. So you be jumping with people all the time, huh? So you fly, and you go up to 14,000 feet, and somebody opens the door. And in that moment, you realize you've never been in a freaking airplane with the door open. Terror, 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 terror. And then people start going out of the airplane. And the guy walks you up to the end of the thing, and you're standing and your toes are on the edge, and you're looking out down to death. They say, on 3. 1, 2, and he pushes you on 2 because people grab on 3. And you fall out of the airplane, and in 1 second, you realize that it's the most blissful experience of your life. You're flying. There's zero fear. You realize that the point of maximum danger is the point of minimum fear. The lesson for me was, why were you scared in your bed the night before? What do you need that fear for? Everything up to the stepping out, there's actually no reason to be scared. And then in that moment, all of a sudden, where you should be terrified is the most blissful experience of your life. And God placed the best things in life on the other side of fear.
Somebody once said that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I had been terrified of public speaking. I couldn't do it. I'd throw up. And I knew if I didn't cure it then, I'd never cure it. And so I saw an ad in the paper for the Dale Carnegie course, which worked on developing your ability to speak in public. And I went down there.
Be sincere. A good smile has the same effect as a puppy's tail. When a puppy wags...
They made us do all these crazy things to get out of ourselves, and so we stood on tables and did all kinds of things. If I hadn't have done that, my whole life would have been different. So in my office, you will not see the degree I got from the University of Nebraska. You'll not see the master's degree I got from Columbia University, but you'll see the little award certificate I got from the Dale Carnegie course.
Feel the fear and do it anyway, that famous quote. I want to tell you a little bit about the science. So there's this famous neuroscientist called Antonio Damasio, and he did a really interesting study where he discovered that our body senses fear before our mind even realizes it. And when fear or danger, speaking to your boss, calling a prospect, going to the gym when you're not proud of the way that you look. And, you know, it's not fear like terror. It's more that low-grade agitation in your body. I felt it yesterday because I went to a boot camp class yesterday, and I'm not in good shape, and I don't do boot camp classes. And Kendall and I are staying at this hotel where, holy cow, everybody seems like there's some sort of professional weightlifter or Instagram model. And so it was really intimidating. And I could feel that agitation in my body. That's the kind of fear I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the paralysis fear your life is threatened and you really are in a life or death situation. I'm talking about the low-grade agitation that is there when you're about to do something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So when fear or danger is sensed in the body, your body begins a stress response before your mind even catches up. And if you want to take control of your life, you got to take control of that physical state. And it starts with catching these moments, everyone, when you start to feel it.
With every milestone, while you might be excited about the milestone, there's a part of the milestone that you don't want to face. Are you hearing me? And listen to me. I knocked out the coursework. Boom, got it done. In order. E.T., why did it take you 2 years, E.T., after you finished your coursework? Why did it take you 2 years to get started with the dissertation? I'm going to be 100 with you. Look, knocked all the coursework out. But when I finally got to the dissertation, I had to get to that demon. I had to deal with it. I had to face it. Face what? We're not talking about elementary school, middle school, high school. I've had a professor or two tell me in college that you will never get your dissertation, that while your writing has improved, but in terms of your analysis, like you are not critical enough to do a dissertation. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? We're talking about, look, math, I love math coming up. Why? It is what it is. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Like, it is what it is, right? It's not subjective. Writing is subjective. I've had teachers to look at my work and strip it into parts. The fear of what? The fear of rejection. Right? My teachers were so subjective. I put my whole heart into it. I put everything I could put. And they tell me, edit it again. Revision after revision. Edit after edit. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? I had to deal with the fact that writing has never really been my strong suit. And even though I've worked hard and I put in hours and hours, in the back of my mind, I could hear the teacher say, E.T., you don't have what it takes to get a dissertation. I'm a grown man dealing with that fear. I'm a grown man of dealing with the rejection of getting all that red on my paper, of having to do it over and over and over and over. And come on, somebody feels me. You feel like you'll do 120%. You'll give everything you have and it still won't be enough. I feel you. I was there. A part of the milestone is, what if I give everything and it ain't enough? What if I put my whole heart, my whole mind, my whole soul into it, E.T., and it's not enough? What if I do it and I fail? And so I feel you. So you just like you're not going to do it at all because you'd rather not do it and find out the truth. And I'm telling you, you got to do me a favor. you got to face your fear, and you got to do it anyway. Your boy E.T. had to face his fear. That's right. Yep, I know. You see E.T. beast mode, and you're right. I am beast mode, but it don't mean beast mode without fear. It don't mean beast mode without a little anxiety. It don't mean beast mode, and I'm just 120% sure. No, I have to live by faith too, and I made up in my mind, E.T., you got to go after it, E. Look, I finished my coursework. It took me 2 years. Why? Because it took me 2 years to get over the fear. It took me 2 years to get over the anxiety. It took me 2 years to finally say, Goliath, here I come. Goliath, you might be taller than me. You might be bigger than me. You might be stronger than me, but I'm coming. And I'd rather die trying. I'd rather die going after this dissertation. I'd rather give everything I got. I'd rather give a year. I'd rather put in work and fail to not try it all.
When I was younger, life and society made this big world with all these endless possibilities.
Yep.
Endless possibilities. My life made my possibilities this big.
Yep.
Because it made me afraid of all these different things.
Yeah.
So all this stuff trapped my mind, it shackled my brain, it made me a prisoner within my own self, saying, this is all I can do. Because why? I'm afraid of this. I'm insecure over here. I got self-doubt over here. That behind me. Good Lord, who knows what's behind me? I'm not gonna look behind me. So your life is this big. Versus it being like, I can do all this shit out here if I start to break down these these different walls and barriers. And that's what I started realizing. I could become a Navy SEAL. I could become this, but I was afraid of the water. Think about this.
I know.
Why the f are you gonna go be a Navy SEAL when all you do is play in the water?
Yeah.
And we don't play, we're in it and we're living in it.
You're tying
the
knots,
ocean.
you're swimming for
That's
miles.
Right. The ocean is unforgiving.
Yep. Yeah.
So my mind is, I'm gonna go be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
If I didn't face that fear, no one would ever know me. I was number 3 behind Michelle Obama for a long time until my book sold out.
Yeah.
And I was a guy just 21 years ago who was 300 pounds, could barely read and write, and now I have a book just 2 spots behind Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Hopefully we get it above today.
Right. Just because I was afraid.
Yeah.
But you overcome those fears, guess what happens? The whole world, you unlock this door and everything opens back up again.
You know, I actually took this question from Twitter and I answered the question in one word. You've lived a life dominated by doubt and fear. How do you step into bravery? Step. That's how you step into bravery. Step. Take the step. Step aggressively towards your fear. And that step towards your fear is the step into bravery. Because we're scared of what we don't know. And there is only one way to learn and to know, and that is to confront that fear. You have to step, you have to go. And this simple action, this simple attitude, it answers so many questions. My theory here would be if you're afraid of fighting and altercations, go train jiu-jitsu. If you're afraid of heights, work on some rock climbing. If you're afraid of the water, it's time to swim. It's time to surf. It's time to get out there. If you're afraid of pull-ups, if you're afraid of pull-ups, do pull-ups. If you're in squats, do squats. If you're afraid of public speaking, go speak in public. Mm-hmm. If you're afraid to start a business, start a business. Make it small. And on all these, what you have to do is you have to mitigate the risk and you have to ease yourself into it, but you got to go for it. And eventually you will overcome that fear. Mm-hmm. But the hard part is you got to take that first step. Yeah. You got to take that first step to begin to inoculate yourself against the fear of the thing that's in your mind. Because that fear generally is in your mind. Yeah. You know, when you get up on stage to do a public speaking, people are not going to throw tomatoes at you and say, "Oh my, you're an idiot, get off the stage." No, they're going to sit there, So there's nothing to fear.
Yeah,
it's in your head.
But you get on the web and you check out who's Dame Dash, and there's so much crap. How do you deal with that, and how do you suggest other people deal with it when they reach a certain level of celebrity?
I mean, when you sign on to being a certain level of celebrity, you got to know they're going to say things, and things are going to get eyeballs and get people to buy. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't care. And one of the reasons why I think I've been successful is because I didn't care. If I cared, I probably would be too scared to promote people that people don't want to promote. It takes fearlessness to be first. To not move with a crowd, to move alone, and you get scrutinized by people that do move with a crowd because they got to make you look bad to make themselves look good. It's all part of the game. It's like a guy that's in high school that gets all the girls. The rest of the dudes hate him in high school. So my whole life has been being that guy in high school that everyone hates because I keep taking their girls.
I can understand that.
It's not a bad life. So that's how I look at it. The price of success is unsuccessful people don't like you. Who cares? Like successful people don't care about what another person's doing.
Successful people want everybody else to succeed too.
Exactly, that's my point.
That's this whole mindset that people don't understand.
Right. So it's usually a bunch of unsuccessful, bitter people. And I was the guy in school that got kicked out of every school. I was the class clown. I wasn't the guy that you would traditionally think would go this far. So me making it made all my teachers look stupid. Every principal that kicked me out of school looked stupid. I went to South Kent in Connecticut on scholarship. I didn't come back the next year. The next time I came back was on a helicopter, and I landed it on the soccer field. When I got kicked out of Dwight in the 7th grade, my son came back, and they were asking me, I put my son through there. I paid full tuition plus extras for tutoring, and they asked me to build a library. I'm like, the same principal that kicked me out is asking me to build a library. So it's egg on all their faces. My success makes a lot of people look like they were wrong, because a lot of people articulated the fact that I wouldn't be what I am today. And either way, I didn't care, but I think it's kind of funny. It's egg all over their face, scrambled.
Overcoming fear is one of the greatest moves a person can make. First of all, we have to ask ourselves what causes fear. Fear is caused by ignorance, not knowing. And if we're going to go and do anything new, if we're going to break out of a paradigm, if we're going to change habit patterns, we're wandering into an area we've never been. And fear stops most people. You'll find people afraid to talk to a stranger. You'll find individuals afraid to stand up and ask a question in front of other people. You'll find salespeople afraid to make a sales call, afraid to ask for the order. Stop and think of how confining that is. A person is putting themselves into a small cell, but it's in their own mind. The doors aren't locked. They can open, and you can walk away to freedom if you learn to overcome fear. When you face fear, it leaves you. Face the thing you fear, and it'll leave you. That's really the secret of it. In fact, if you hold yourself back because of fear, your life actually comes to a stop, because nothing gets better than it is. You've got to be courageous. Now, courageous people aren't without fear. Courageous people are the ones that face their fear. I think Eddie Rickenbacker pointed that out, the great pilot. Don't let fear stop you. Make up your mind you're going to step out and do it. Stop and think of the number of people that are in jobs that they don't like and they're afraid to leave. Or people in relationships that are destructive and they're afraid to leave. This is a terrible way to live, and it's not necessary. It's just caused by ignorance. And when we step out and do something, we gain an awareness. We develop an understanding. And like that, the fear is gone. Make up your mind that fear is not going to stop you from doing the thing you really want to do. Step out and do it today.
It seems like you can't open a book or read a blog post these days without hearing somebody tell you to follow your passion or follow your bliss or follow your heart. And yes, I have said those things too. But today I want to talk about the power of going in what can often feel like the opposite direction. I want to talk about the power of following your fear. I'm not talking about following your very useful fear of big moving vehicles and walking in front of a bus. Nor am I talking about doing anything stupid or irresponsible that could ruin you financially. What I am talking about, though, is the power of following good fear, directive fear, the kind of fear that you feel when you have an idea that just won't leave you alone, an idea about doing something that you've always wanted to do, something that's different and bold and kind of risky, where part of you is saying, oh no, I actually couldn't do that. But the deeper, wiser part of you wants this thing so damn bad. And the moment you imagine yourself going for it, you have worries like, will people laugh at me? Will they ignore me? Maybe this isn't even really an idea. What if I do it and it sucks? Am I going to destroy my reputation? Am I going to lose my marriage and my family and wind up living on the streets? My friend Stephen Pressfield talks about this kind of fear in The War of Art, and he says, remember our rule of thumb. The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it. And he continues, the more fear we feel about a specific enterprise, the more certain we can be that that enterprise is important to us and the growth of our soul.
You can't hit a home run unless you're in the batter's box and you swing away, right? Everybody understand that? Most of you have never been in the batter's box or on the crease. So in that regard, you really, and I'm not giving you an excuse for not being more successful, but in that regard, I can cut you a little bit of slack because you've never put yourself in a position to succeed. But it's been out of fear. Everybody in this room has had an opportunity to succeed at something. But fear has kept you back. False expectations appearing real.
Tell people your concept of the paddle.
Well, there's a paddle for everybody's ass. We all know that. And every day you just get up, and I don't fear anything, but I worry about everything. And the day you stop worrying in good times, the paddle will get your behind. And so as great as things are in life, I know you're only a few steps or a few incidents away from something bad happening. You can never forget it.
Did you have fear as a kid and you just got into enough business scuffles that you figured your way through things, or have you always been fearless?
I'm pretty fearless, but I do worry about everything. But, once again, the book, and this is why Harper's asked me to write the book because of all my Tillmanisms, you got to know what you know and what you don't know. And I knew that I understood business. Now, don't ask me to, go win an Emmy. I took guitar lessons for 4 years, and I still struggle playing a guitar. I can't draw a stick person very good, but I knew that I understood business. So I know what I know, and I know how to do due diligence on a deal. I don't worry about making a bad deal because I feel like that's what I know. So no fear when it comes to that.
So many people look at fear or even doubt, but they look at fear as if it's the emotional enemy. It's the enemy emotion. Like, oh, I can deal with compassion. I can deal with love. I can deal with understanding. But when fear comes, oh my God, bad thing. No, first of all, change your relationship to fear. I've said this before. Fear is not the enemy. The feeling of fear is just like any other emotion. Fear is actually informing you. Fear is telling you that you need to do something. Either do more research, get some support, get some insight, study a little more, slow down. Fear is actually feeding you. So then ask yourself the question, what do I need to do, think, or go get to dissipate this fear? Because remember, fear becomes present when you've made up something that could happen in the future. And it makes you afraid right now. Like, oh my God, I'm afraid I can get hurt in this relationship. Oh my God, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my money. You're just projecting a story that you made up. Then back into that fear and go, okay, wait, then what do I need to do to minimize the fear that I might get hurt? What do I need to do to minimize the fear that I might lose my money? What do I need to do? Of course, you can't 100% eliminate the possibility, but you can greatly reduce the chances by asking, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid that's going to happen? And then secondly, recognize that fear doesn't mean stop. People think, oh, I'm afraid, let me stop. Okay, that's a choice to stop. Fear doesn't necessarily mean stop. Fear might mean proceed with caution or proceed with more strategy. Fear doesn't, whenever I'm feeling fear, it doesn't tell me this. I don't even think now to stop with the fear. I do think to slow down, go get some help, go get some insight, voice my fear so that it's not just all in my head. Recognize that fear is going to come in when you're playing bigger than you've ever played before. I say if your knees aren't knocking and your teeth aren't chattering just a little at least, then you're not playing big enough. The bigger you play, the more you're going to feel your knees knock and you're going to hear your teeth chatter. And I'm always playing big. I'm always feeling my knees knock and I'm always hearing my teeth chatter. But I've created a relationship with that fear to go, hold on. Let's say fear is right here. Fear, what are you telling me? Because fear really is, it's a story. It's something you think could happen. And could it happen? Yeah. But could it not happen? Yeah. So don't try to outrun fear. Don't try to outrun doubt. And definitely don't wait until doubt and fear are gone before you move. Find out what doubt and fear needs to dissipate into the nothingness that it always was. What does it need? And then understand that action brings clarity. So the more you move forward, the more action you're in, the more clarity you get because action breeds clarity. And clarity comes with action. So many times you're sitting on the sideline waiting to get completely clear before you take any action. And clarity is waiting for you to get in action to create clarity. So be willing to play full out, a little nervous.
Dr. Alfred Golson, who has since passed, was a very unusual guy. And he told me, he said, Mr. Brown, you have cancer. I said, can you give me a second opinion? He said, yes, and you're ugly too. I said, oh my God. So I didn't have a chance to have fear because, those three words, you have cancer, three of the most feared words in 7 different languages. I saw it as a fight. And from that time to this time, my PSA was 2,400, and that stands for prostate-specific antigen, and now it's below 0 and metastasized to 7 areas of my body, which was a good thing because 7 is my lucky number. Okay, so I never was fearful that I was going to die from it, and I think that I read something by Dr. Norman Cousins. He wrote a book called The Biology of Hope. And he talked about the fact that when something happens to you, you don't deny it, you defy it. And I was defiant that I'm going to beat this, I'm going to handle this, that there are people who many times when something happens to them, that they embrace it from a place of fear and it takes them out. And L.C. Robinson said, things may happen to you and things may happen around you, but the most important things are the things that happen in you. And you have to stand up inside yourself and deal with it and handle it.
And Cheryl says, what is Gabby's biggest fear?
Good question. I think that I don't even want to say them out loud.
Yeah.
How about that?
Cool. Absolutely fine with me.
Yeah, because I don't want to bring energy to it.
Yeah, sure. I like that. Can you expand on that then?
Well, here's the deal. We all have fears. Mm-hmm. No matter how committed to love we are, no matter how deeply connected we are to our own spiritual practice and to God and to the universe, we will always have fear, unless we somehow become enlightened, which is possible. But we will live with fear. And it's not that the fear goes away completely as a spiritual student. It's just that you don't believe in it anymore. So when you ask me to share my fears, it's like talking about something that it's like not true for me. So of course there's fear and they pop up and they're, it's present, but it's not real for me. So it feels like I'm doing the world a disservice to say it out loud.
Fear of the future. Much of my anxiety is about what will happen to me going forward. Fear that I will lose what I already have or that I won't get what I want. We cannot be governed by fear, but we should respect fear as a type of awareness, a type of wisdom. There is knowledge in fear. I suppose if we feel a lot of fear and anxiety, my daughter's just walked in, we should acknowledge that we are living in projections. We're not present in the moment. Mooji, the great meditation teacher, from whom I get some of my sparkliest blankets, said, we are more than just a vessel for concepts. When you are feeling something, when you are projecting something, try to identify more with the observer of the phenomena rather than the phenomena itself. Say, for example, I'm frightened because I'm flying to America for 3 months to be in the TV show Ballers. What is the nature of the fear, really? I feel like I can get something from being in Ballers, like maybe things will go well and I'll be in Ballers again. Well, that happened last time and it did not resolve my spiritual problems. Fear is a call, as are all physical sensations, to move closer to God, except for things like, bodily symptoms. That might be a call to move closer to some vitamin C or a physician. So there is wisdom in fear.